Craig Bernbach, and welcome to Yes TV, your periodic look at news and information from around Evergreen Public Schools. We begin with a moment years in the making. Thanks to voters who approved our Envision Evergreen Facilities Bond in February of 2018, we held a special groundbreaking ceremony for what will be the first of 11 new or rebuilt schools in the coming years. Here are some of the sights and sounds as students from Sifton Elementary School broke ground on their new school.
So welcome to our groundbreaking ceremony. We're going to start today with our Sifton Pledge. Will you please stand with me? And let's share with everyone our Sifton Pledge. Sifton superstars are safe, respectful, responsible, always doing our best.
We wanted to share a few things that we think make Sifton really great. The teachers here are awesome. They are really nice and help us solve problems and judge fairly.
We wanted to share a few things that we love about our new school. Our new school will be 2 stories tall. The cafeteria will have round tables and new benches and cushioned furniture, and that is not a gym.
I don't really want to spend a lot of time other than thanking people and saying I'm really excited a year and a half from now to be able to look behind me and see a brand new school.
My family was actually part of the Sifton Superstars. My son went here in the early 2000s. He's now at college. Some of his favorite teachers throughout his entire school career are still here at Sifton.
I have been so lucky. I've been able to be the principal here for 12 years. I know, it's a long time. 3, 2, 1.
Evergreen Public Schools career and technical education programs are busy preparing students for the jobs of tomorrow. At Heritage High School, that includes students who are learning how to become the next generation of video game designers.
So the game takes place in an airship where that's the world now.
Casey Lim isn't describing the latest video game he's playing. He's describing the game he and his fellow Heritage students are creating in Chase Smith's game design class.
You can build anything. You can make a beautiful 3D world, or you can make a 2D game like Pong. One of the first things that we did in our class was make Pong. And it was so much fun, the little spins that you could put on it.
That's a great question.
Smith teaches 3 levels of game design, with designs on giving his students the tools they need to get jobs in a growing billion-dollar industry.
Because most classes is kind of just like assignments and projects and etc. But I feel like I'm actually doing a lot of actual work that I could do outside of this class.
I bring as much from my experience when I worked with Sony and just show them what it's really like.
While technical skills are essential to programming a game, there are some somewhat unexpected skills that you need to work in the game design industry. You need to be able to work with others, and that's not always easy.
I definitely didn't like team projects beforehand, but now I can get used to it, and I get to know my teammates a lot more, which helps us create a better game.
I used to be more of a lone wolf, do everything by myself, but I'm slowly starting to learn how to show other people what I'm trying to do so they can actually help me.
These students will present their games at a game expo at Heritage High School on June 1st. This will be year 3 of the event, and Smith says it will be the biggest because he wants all game makers in the district to join in the fun.
We're expecting about 1,000 people to not only just come through the doors, but we're inviting everyone from kindergarten to 12th grade to show their work.
The expo will be a place to show off games and, of course, play games. But now that they know what it takes to design a game, these students will never play games the same.
I respect the quality and the designing part of it. When I go into a certain room in a world, I'll be like, wow, how did they build all this?
Students at Silver Star Elementary School are learning about world events, and they're teaching others about what's happening in the world by learning a new set of skills. They're showcasing their learning in a unique way by producing podcasts.
Hi, I am Benjamin Chernichenko. Hi, I am Vadim Nestorenko.
Vadim and Ben are listening to the introduction to their first ever podcast, something they kind of knew about before.
I thought it's kind of like what you're doing right now to me, like you're asking me something and then like I answer it. Like I knew it was something like that.
Now Vadim and his fellow fifth graders at Silver Star Elementary School don't just know what a podcast is, they know how challenging it can be to make one.
This is like our fifth trial, sixth, and I kept on losing our progress because I didn't know how to do it, and we finally found it, and now we're at 5 minutes.
The students are using an app on their Chromebooks to create podcasts that they entered into a National Public Radio podcast contest. So what kind of things do fifth graders want to talk about? Well, the subjects are pretty serious.
We're doing animal shelters about when some people put animals in their shelter, they could die.
Vadim, Ben, and their partner Mark all have ties to Ukraine, so they wanted their podcast to be
The slap art.
Yes, the project was fun, but their reasons for choosing to talk about Ukraine, anything but.
The wars in Ukraine are really dangerous.
We're just talking about Ukraine and like how like bad it is in there, like cause like all the buildings like are all ruined, like they have big holes in them because of the wars.
During the wars in Ukraine, all the stores are closed, so people starved and died.
The group hopes that their classmates here in Vancouver will learn more about the struggles that people face in Ukraine.
Just wanted to compare how the life is from there and from here. Like people down there don't have enough money to buy things, and people right here can afford mostly everything.
With the power of the internet, Vadim is also excited at the prospect that this podcast might even be heard thousands of miles away from the Pacific Northwest.
If people in Ukraine would be able to hear this would be super cool. Like this would be that's amazing.
We just wrapped up spring theater season here in Evergreen Public Schools, and we love showcasing the work of the hundreds of students who bring their artistic visions to the stage. Take a look at this extended showcase of our spring theater season.
Heritage High School theater students are polishing their performances for their 4-show run of The Grapes of Wrath. It's a stage adaptation of John Steinbeck's classic novel about the Dust Bowl era migration of farmers from Oklahoma to California during the height of the Great Depression. Students say they're ready to tackle this serious subject matter.
The spirit ain't in the people no more. And worse than that, the spirit ain't in me no more.
It's a real hard project to go through, but I love every second of it. Every one part of it makes it easy, and even while we're serious on stage, it's a blast and everyone's so full of joy off stage.
Junior Jaden Labadie hopes audiences will take in some of the play's serious messages about doing right or doing wrong by others.
Consequences of your own actions, I really like. And seeing how what you do affects other people and how other people, what they do is affecting you. And it can come across negatively or positively, and just what to do to change that, I guess.
Jailbird. Ain't been no Joe's in jail for a hell of a time.
One thing different about this play from recent Heritage High School productions is there isn't much of a set. Instead, the backdrop will be several video projection screens that show historical images from the Dust Bowl era and stylized videos to enhance the mood of different scenes.
I think it's interesting to have more of a focus on the character itself and having the projected images, because it also shows the audience that this is a real thing that happened and it was a really big thing. And this family is fictional, but it is based off of a lot of different families that had this happen to them.
It's kind of one of my favorite eras, because you had one side where it was completely glamorous and then the other side where it was just dark and depressing, and there was a lot of suffering, and a lot of people don't focus on that, and I like that this show does. And I like that we're not using as many props to really bring in the focus. Like, this is an emotional journey. It's not about the props, it's not about the scenery, it's about the relationship and the people in it.
We ain't come this far.
At Mountain View High School, a cast, crew, and pit orchestra of more than 100 people is putting in 3.5 hours of rehearsal each day ahead of a 7-show run of the musical Newsies.
In a few hours by dawn's early light, we'll be ready to fight us a war.
I think it's not as hard as people think because we all love to do it and we all love to learn and we all have the work ethic for it. So as much as it is like very hard to multitask, singing, dancing, acting, like practice makes perfect practice, and it's just a lot of fun to do as well.
Part of the fun for senior Sophia Fabian is the handmade period costumes she and the cast get to wear to help embody their characters.
I like how flamboyant she is because it kind of reflects off my own character. This costume definitely does bring out my flamboyant side. It's something that I don't really get to show.
1, 2, 3, go. And as excited as the cast and crew are about how the show is coming along, it's really hard to match the enthusiasm of Sydney Vance. She's a violinist who decided she would move from being in the chorus of last year's production of 42nd Street to organizing the pit orchestra for Newsies.
I've been wanting to be in the pit orchestra for a long time. Ever since I saw my first show, I was like, I want to do that. So last year I was a company member, and at the end of the show I was like, you know what, I love theater, but I also love the violin, so I'd love to be in the pit. I spread the word. I was like, hey guys, let's put a pit together, like who's interested? And it came together, so I was super excited. And then there's 5, and then.
Sydney says finding friends to play in the Newsies pit orchestra was the easy part.
The most challenging part is you're learning so many different varieties of music, and all so fast. We got this music just 2 months before we open the show, which is next week. And so we've had to learn over 100 pages of music, everywhere from swing to rock to legit, like from the actual movie. It's just very different styles, really fast, but it's been a ton of fun.
Me, I'm dying to get away to a little town out west that's spanking new.
Senior Kylan Beatty, in the leading role of Jack Kelly, says having a live orchestra instead of pre-recorded instrumentals helps keep the singing on track.
Band director has, my favorite quote of his is, "I'll find you at the fermata." So basically, anytime if we get slightly off, we'll take a bit and we'll just figure out where each other are in the middle of the song, and then we'll pick back up right into it. So it's actually a lot easier working with a person rather than like a recording where they don't really care where you are in the song. So it's a blessing having them around.
We'll be using his very own printing press to take him down.
Remind me to stay on your good side.
Newsies is based on a real-life strike by children who sold newspapers on the streets of New York City in the late 1800s. These students are hoping audiences will take to heart the message about what can be accomplished if people band together to create positive change in the world.
This is for kids shining shoes on the street with no shoes on their feet every day. This is for guys sweating blood in the shops while the bosses and cops look away.
I'd say that the show, we really want people to take away that when you stand together and you all have the same cause and it's a good cause, that you can make real change in the world. And no matter how small your role is in society.
I want people to realize that even though they might be young and kids, they can still make an impact in the world. And if they're seeing something that's wrong out there, there is steps that you can take to go and change things. If you feel like there's something wrong, you can also be part of the movement.
All the characters in the show are our age, right? They're all in high school. And I think it's super inspiring to see these young kids going out and they're going for what they believe in, you know? I mean, they're starting a strike, they're writing papers, they're literally changing the world around them. And I think it really shows how much influence we all have.
This nerd was a girl nerd.
and her name was Tilly Evans.
Theater students at Union High School are running through some of the fight scenes from their upcoming production of She Kills Monsters.
I think what a lot of people will get out of the show is just seeing from a different point of view, because it's a totally different thing than what a lot of high school kids do now. It has Dungeons and Dragons, fighting, just a lot of things that are probably trendy in the 80s and just a different perspective than what we have now.
The comedy is a trip through the world of fantasy role-playing games, told from the perspective of a teenage girl whose only connection to her deceased sister is the Dungeons and Dragons role-playing scenario her sister left behind in a notebook.
It's really important because Agnes is trying to get to know her sister who passed away, and the only way that she can do that is by playing her sister's Dungeons and Dragons game. And throughout this entire story, she really gets to know her sister and finds out things that she didn't know about her, and it's really tough for Agnes, but she really works through it, and it's really awesome.
But this story isn't about her. This story is about her sister. Agnes Evans grew up average.
So while the play has a serious heart, it's wrapped in plenty of late 80s and early 90s pop culture references, all while trying to bring out the nerd and the warrior in all of us through a number of highly choreographed fight scenes.
Tilly, look out!
I actually do like cosplay and stuff with my family, and I'm already into D&D, so it was actually easier than I thought to get into kind of the choreography for the fight scenes, but doing it definitely takes some conditioning, takes some getting used to.
And as the swords and fists go flying, it should not go without saying the play is intended for a PG-13 audience.
A couple naughty words, just some crass comments, just the usual.
And plenty of monsters.
It's a hard knock life for us. It's a hard knock life for us.
Evergreen High School's upcoming production of Annie has all the things you've come to expect.
I love you, Miss Hannigan.
Singing, dancing, period costumes, great characters, and in this case, a dog owned by theater teacher Margaret Gorman. His real name is Neville.
He's not the smartest pug, so he's definitely, he has the looks, but I mean, he tries his best, but it's kind of just like a dice. You never really know what you're gonna get.
Senior Vanessa Lastifka, who plays Annie, says they're doing their best to teach Neville his cues.
They just throw him on there, and I come to him most of the time. Yeah, we're trying to give him like treats and stuff so he would listen to us, but
he's kind of learning.
We'll see. Yeah, he's learning a little bit.
Not only did we pay attention.
At this rehearsal, students were nearly all in costume, thanks to senior Tamsin Tanner, who is co-head of costuming for this production.
I'm really passionate about costuming, especially this era. It's 1933, and so it has very distinctive styles, such as skirts that are skinny at the top and full at the bottom. It's also when women's fashion started to take on a more masculine role, such as Grace, who's a feminist. I get to wear a suit jacket because I'm in the workforce, and I'm saying I can be a man too, so I'm going to wear a suit jacket. And the prints are really pretty.
Hello, Barney. Yes, I just got in an hour ago.
And as for those classic characters, sophomore Zach Braunschweig plays Daddy Warbucks, the tycoon who learns something about himself when Annie comes into his life.
He's secretly a softie. I think that's the best part about him, is that he's like, at first he's like this weird shell of a man, but deep on the inside he has like heart, and Annie's the thing that kind of draws that out of him. And in the end, he realizes that it's okay to show who he is.
At this rehearsal, we did notice that Annie did not yet have her trademark curly red hair. We asked Vanessa if she was getting nervous about dyeing her hair.
Kind of a little bit, but I've never dyed my hair before, so I'm like really excited. So we're gonna try it out really soon.
Bonnie, Oren, on
Bonnie
stage
and
now.
With most of the stage currently being used as a classroom, the Frontier Middle School cafeteria will have to do for this rehearsal of the Wild West melodrama, The Treasure of Shiver River.
Why, thank you, Mr. Unreal.
Please, call me Rod.
This play is about a villain and a hero. So I'm the villain and there's a hero. So I'm pretty much trying to steal the treasure from the Sanders property. And there's a hero who's trying to prevent that from happening.
While the lighthearted play features a cattle auctioneer who thinks he's a horse and a former pirate married to a grumpy prospector, these middle schoolers are taking their acting roles seriously.
It ain't NAR!
One of the hardest parts for me is definitely the voice acting. So I've had a lot of my friends, voice coach me through it. It's been a lot of fun going. But yeah, just memorizing my lines, definitely a big part of it. But it's been a really fun experience so far.
I like the cold. It's like nature's wake-up call.
Well, I have a bigger role now. I had I think 81 lines last year, and now I have 133 lines this year. So I think maybe working harder and being more dedicated to this play.
The staging and costumes may not be as elaborate as what you might see on the high school stage, but students are promising a production that's just as fun.
Let's get some rest. I don't want rest. I want to run. I want to feel the wind in my mind, the mud in my hoo. Oh, Rusty.
Plays are really fun to see. Me and my friends sometimes go to Heritage and watch them, and they often have a good time, even people who aren't in theater. And it's just a fun story, and you get to see your friends do weird characters or whatever. And I don't know, it's really fun to be a part of and also to watch. I think people would really enjoy this play.
And without giving away the entire gag, we're also told there will be an audience participation component to the play. We asked Mackenzie Stiles to give us a preview in character.
Now, as we promote our theater and fine arts students, my coworker here, Matt Griffin, has launched a new franchise to help promote the work of our students, keep everyone informed about events around the district, and just because it's a lot of fun. We wanted to share one episode of what we're calling Mattmobile Karaoke.
Hey everybody, it's Matt Griffin from Evergreen Public Schools. I am here in the Mattmobile for your second episode of Mattmobile Karaoke. I have with me some of the villains from Evergreen High School's upcoming production of Annie. Tell us when you can see it.
Annie? She's not even that great, but if you really wanted to see it, I guess you could come on May 3rd and 4th.
Or you can come May 9th, 10th, or 11th.
And all the performances are at 7 o'clock.
Okay, so this is the part of every episode of Mattmobile Karaoke where we sing a song. What do you guys want to hear?
Easy Street.
Easy Street.
If we must?
If we must.
All right, let's try this.
Yes! Easy Street. Easy Street. Annie is the key. Yes-sirree, yes-sirree, yes-sirree. Yeah! Easy Street, Easy Street, that's where we're gonna be.
Once again, that flask was just a prop. No alcohol was included at all. We'll be posting more episodes of Mattmobile Karaoke and a lot more content in the future on our social media channels. Thanks for watching. I'm Craig Bernbach. Here's a look at how you can keep up to date with Evergreen Public Schools on social media. Check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/EvergreenPS. Follow us on Twitter at EvergreenPS. Our Instagram account is evergreen_public_schools. And check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Evergreen Schools.